Well met laws, there's a car. Already there's a car. Anyways, well met laws, ladies, Jacob Butter speaking, and a warm welcome to this week's Walking Wednesday. And I've actually fished out the tripod. If you can see, my angle is a little bit different than normal. I fished out the tripod that Mona gave me, but unfortunately the mic, without its wind muff or pop filter, whatever it ends up being, actually doesn't seem to be working. So I just have this limp cable that is supposed to be attached to something. I'll fix it for next time. I don't know. Anyway, point is, this thing is back. And yeah, weekly updates. There's one major thing, if you've seen the title, that I want to talk about this week. I'm going to dip my toes back into, weirdly enough, the source of my greatest controversy of the entire year on this channel. And that would, of course, be reviewing plays that my friends are in. So, in case people missed what happened last time, I actually gave my thoughts on all the plays that I saw during the end of year festival that was at my university. I don't disclose the university, but I disclosed the names of the plays and other people involved, I don't think, unless they were in my show. Anyway, eventually we had a whole talk about that on a group chat. I said my case about how art is meant to be criticised, and that's why, even if it was being marked and such, people should be expected, oh yeah, people are going to have their thoughts and such. Apparently wasn't the first person to do that, because when the tutor actually called me, telling me to delete the videos, because someone had reported them, he said that it wasn't the first time, although the other times were usually blog related. So yeah, that was something. So no responsible for that, but frankly I don't care anymore. In this situation, it's a completely independent play, not to do with any university, and it was one that I was actually, not invited to per se, but heavily persuaded to go to. And also happens to be one that was actually the actor who played Argus in the live-action version of Siren Story. Was the one who was actually, while we were doing rehearsals for that show, was mentioned that he was going to be in that. And so when the time actually came around, I got myself a ticket. And that is where all Hades broke loose. So essentially what started off as like a thing to surprise a friend and such became a huge issue, because I was obviously by that point no longer in Liverpool, which is where I believe the plays were taking place. It wasn't. We'll get to that. What happened afterwards was I ended up looking across on the train tickets for basically the entire week beforehand. Most of the trains that were going up there from Godalming to Liverpool for some reason took 10 to 12 hours. Which I have no idea how that's possible, because most of the other ones took 3. And this one started much later. I don't know if it was the case that maybe somebody, the conductors would want to sleep or something like that. I have no idea. I mean, if it is, fair enough, but still. Ludicrous times. And also not exactly the lowest of price anyway. Turns out some of the other tickets were going to be cheaper and they would take less time, so what was the point? I don't really know. Anyways, that was a whole thing. It was prompted by somewhat of railway strikes, and also because pretty sure that was when everyone was either going up to see the Queen's funeral, or was close to that. So, that whole mess was happening. Well, those two whole messes. So I wasn't able to get a train that was anything good. And in fact, there was an issue on the site where it said, okay, tickets will be coming soon. And then I refreshed the page every day. Eventually, it turns out I was away. tickets got sold out immediately, pretty much, for all of the sections that were there. So then we decided, okay, you know what? I'm going to drive up there, and I'm going to, we were all going to see my brother, who's moved into a new place, and I know that was it, basically. There's nothing else to say, really. He moved into a new place. And so yeah, we got there quite early. We were there with him for some time, and then we had to go to a different place, actually, because as it turns out, the venue that was hosting the play was not in Liverpool. It was at a place called the Theatre Royal, which was not the Royal Court as my dad seemed to think, even though I clearly said Theatre Royal. And the Theatre Royal was in a place called St Helens, which is close to Liverpool, but is actually not Liverpool. So it took half an hour to actually get there, so we accounted for that. You know, we were in St Helens for a bit, got some food, then I went to see the play. My parents walked around St Helens for a bit, I don't know. I'll have to get them tickets, you know, make it worth their while, but I don't know. Nowadays, half of what they do is walks, so I think they were okay. But yeah, so all of that led up to me actually getting to see the play itself. That was quite some time. It's the danger of death. Oh, yeah, because it's power. Okay. Anyway. I wonder why they put metal doors on those places anyway. Seems counterintuitive. Regardless. Let's see, have I been down this path? No, I've only been... Okay. Oh yeah, I should have probably tried to actually loop around. See if that kid from last week was actually still waiting for me. I wasn't too disappointed that I wasn't there, like, you know, he said come back tomorrow. And I knew I wasn't, and I tried to tell him I wasn't going to, and it was going to be a weekly thing. So yeah, who knows. Come back tomorrow, come back tomorrow. Every time you say come back tomorrow. Sorry, that's Bugsy Malone. Right, where was I? Oh yes, the actual play. So, the actual play was brilliant. I really enjoyed myself. I went in as blind as I possibly could. I'd heard of the producers before, and I knew the premise. It was about these two guys that set out to make the biggest disaster of Broadway that's so bad that it fails on opening night. But that was it. That was just from a Nostalgia Critic video that kind of summed that up as a comparison, where he says like, oh, this is like what trailers the producers would make or something. It's so bad that it bombs on opening night. Yeah, what I didn't know was actually it was all about, the reason they did that is because one of them starts off as the other person's accountant, and it turns out that through some legal loopholes, depending on how you actually do, a play can make more by failing than it could by succeeding. And that was the whole point. I was quite surprised at the nature of the play they put on. In fact, it actually did seem throughout the time that it was going to be something that would fail, especially considering that this story was written in the 60s and possibly set before it. So, yeah, definitely something else. Oh wow, some echo along this street. Actually, maybe I have been down here before. Oh well. I won't spoil all the details and such. But yeah, I will just say that yeah, I had a great time, and yeah, it kind of rekindled my enthusiasm for musicals that was sort of quelled by the production nature of Siren Story. Not quelled, squashed. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know if it was deliberate actually, but yeah, particularly the main characters they all seem to be cast very well. Like there's one of, I don't know if there was like a deliberate age gap between Bialystok and Bloom, the main two, but actually I guess visually one of them seemed much younger than the other, and it made sense because that one was the junior one and such. So yeah, just worked out, it seems. Also whoever played Ula in that was spectacular, because that seems like, you know, that seems like it would be on the surface an easy part to play, but I'm pretty sure it's not. Like, my goodness. It's I mean, particularly also like not trying to like crack up at everything, but then again, that's the whole thing. You got to be able to take the comedy and not corpse and such, which they all did. The other thing I would say about the casting is that throughout the entire time, I was actually looking for that friend, you know, Argus from Simon's Story, and because, you know, he was the one who invited everyone to come along to a different city, no less, even regardless of whether we were in Liverpool or not. You know, he wanted those seats filled with people, and as it turns out, you know, I was there the entire time thinking like, oh, that could be him, that could be him. Like, some people look vaguely like him. I was in the back row, so it was a little bit less of a giveaway, you know, where he was. And some people, you know, they were like, you know, they had different glasses or like gelled hair and such. Like, is that him? And obviously several costume changes. This was mainly during chorus numbers, incidentally. But yeah, the one time I was actually able to properly confirm that it was indeed him in the scene and wasn't just a lookalike was the very last scene of the play. I mean, unless you count like Bialystok and Bloom themselves, like, you know, shaking hands, and then he puts the hat on, and then like they turn around and they pose, and that's like the end visual. Apart from that, the last scene essentially seems like something that the Blues Brothers would then rip off sometime later. Because I will say, yeah, one spoiler that gives context for this, by the way, they get arrested. The play is so bad it's good, and therefore their entire scheme of keeping the investor money that they seemingly didn't make back from the production, and they get arrested, which weirdly enough happens on the same night as the play itself. Like, the police come around immediately, which, I mean, how quickly would one report what seems to be budgetary issues within a play's production? I'm not sure when I'm not sure who they reported that to and how it turned out, or how quickly that works in that industry, which I should probably figure out at some point, you know, considering if I want to keep making musicals of my own, you know. I want to be a producer. Anyway, that's one of the songs. So, yeah, so they get arrested, and then my friend comes along, and it turns out, because like they've actually put on another musical in the prison itself, again much like the Blues Brothers did, but that was made later. So yeah, my friend comes along, and he goes like, Mr. Bialystok, guess what? You actually because you've turned around like every single criminal in this establishment, they've granted you and Bloom a reprieve. You're free, or something like that. And that was it. That's the confirmed pieces that I actually got from him. And I was texting the guy during the interval, like afterwards. He didn't really say he was anybody else. So maybe all the other people were just assumptions of mine or along those lines. Because he did sound different. He was mic'd different to the other ones. I don't know. It was a thing. It was weird because I thought he at least would have been in the chorus numbers, like you would imagine, but I don't know. I know, it's weird. I have no clue what happened. I mean, yeah, I know that sometimes I myself have gotten, like, you know, very small bits, parts and stuff, but in musicals, normally they get everyone involved for the chorus, so I don't know what was going on behind the scenes there. If anything, who knows? I could speculate, but they might take this video down again, so I must contain myself. I don't know. I'm sure that, you know, if the guy happens to see this video, he can shed some light on any more doubts or anything. But yeah, it would have been nice to know that he wasn't as involved as one might expect. But also, it is just good to know, you know. I mean, if I'd known that he wasn't actually didn't have as much of a part, maybe I wouldn't have taken the lengths to actually end up going to see it, or I wouldn't have been able to justify the lengths that were taken to go and see it. I mean, yeah, because I mean the journey back also was even worse. You know, it got dark by the time we actually were there, and there was a traffic jam and such. It was a whole thing. So ultimately, I'm not sure how worth it was for my parents who were dragged along this expedition. For me, I'm glad I saw it. You know, I'm not against traveling for theatre, but hopefully next time the trains will run. So at least the time and the expenditure will come at my expense rather than somebody else's. Also, I plan to drive this year, so that will be counteracted. So yeah, that's that. That's really the big thing that's happened this week. I don't know. Been working on plenty of other stuff in the background, including job searching and also new script writing. But I've announced that already. I won't go into too much detail because I feel like this kind of like wraps it up neatly. The middle of the week was the highlight and the important event. So who knows? I think we're all still somewhat recovering from that ordeal in our own ways. So I guess we shall continue. But yeah, please leave a like or dislike because your opinion matters. As I've done this already, I recommend the play, but that was like the last day. As a matinee, it finished now, so it's done. So yeah, I guess that's it for now. And if you want to be a Broadway producer, weirdly enough, try to be less like Tommy Wiseau and more like Mel Brooks. So yeah, on that note, until next time, farewell.